The council chamber floated high above Centralis Prime, a massive station where all the great species of the galaxy met to discuss important matters. Today, something was wrong. Ambassador Krelvan noticed it first when he checked the attendance records. Every human seat was empty. This had never happened before. Humans were always early to meetings. They always came prepared with notes and data. Krelvan tried to contact the human embassy. No response. He tried their homeworld, Earth. Nothing. He tried every human colony and station he could think of. Silence. The other ambassadors started to notice. Whispers spread through the chamber. Where were the humans? Some species laughed. Maybe they overslept. Someone joked. Others felt uneasy. Something felt very wrong about this. 3 months earlier, far beyond the known edges of the galaxy, Commander Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his ship, the Wanderer. He was looking at something impossible. A massive ring of metal hung in the darkness of space, covered in symbols that no one had seen before. The ring was 30 miles wide and hummed with strange energy. Jake had been exploring this empty region for 2 years. The council had forbidden humans from going too far out. But Jake never liked following rules that didn't make sense. His crew had picked up unusual energy readings, and they had followed them here. "Lisa, what are we looking at?" Jake asked. Dr. Lisa Chen stood at the science station, her fingers dancing over the controls. She had been studying ancient civilizations for 15 years. She knew old languages and forgotten technologies better than anyone alive. Her eyes were wide with excitement. "It's a gateway, Commander. Built by someone who lived millions of years ago. And it's still working." Jake walked closer to the main screen. "A gateway to where?" "Another galaxy," Lisa said softly, completely untouched. No council, no restrictions, just empty space, waiting for someone to explore it. Jake felt his heart beat faster. He thought about Earth, about all the human colonies spread across council space. He thought about the endless rules, the taxes, the way other species looked down at humans like they were children who needed to be watched. For 50 years, humans had tried to be good members of the council. They had followed the rules. They had been patient when other species mocked their ideas. They had smiled when the council limited where humans could build new colonies. They had stayed quiet when the council took 40% of everything humans earned. But patience had limits. "Send this data to Earth," Jake said. "Encrypted. Highest priority. Tell them we found a way out. Send this data. Tell them we found a way out." Back on Earth, in a secure government building, Karen Sullivan read Jake's message 3 times. She was in charge of human diplomatic relations, but she was tired of diplomacy. Tired of begging the council for permission to expand. Tired of watching human innovations get stolen by other species, who then claimed credit. Karen looked at the data. A gateway to another galaxy. A place where humans could start fresh. A place where they wouldn't have to answer to anyone. She made a call. Within hours, secret messages went out to every human colony. Every ship. Every station. The messages were simple. Pack everything. Be ready to move. Tell no one. The plan had actually started years ago. Humans were good at planning. While the council thought humans were just building cargo ships and colony vessels, they were really building something else. Every ship had hidden weapons. Every colony had been preparing supply caches. Every human in the galaxy had been quietly getting ready for this moment. Greg Patterson received the message on the agricultural colony of New Hope. He was a colony director, responsible for 3,000 people, and the farms that fed 6 nearby systems. He read the message and started giving orders immediately. Load everything onto the ships. Food, equipment, seeds, everything. We leave in 48 hours. His assistant looked confused. Leave? Leave where? Somewhere better, Greg said. The same scene played out across human space. On mining stations, factory worlds, research outposts, and military bases. Humans moved with purpose and speed. They had practiced this. They knew exactly what to do. Dan Wright was the captain of the orbital station above Earth, Liberty Station. He had been in the military for 30 years. He had fought pirates, explored dead worlds, and met more alien species than he could count. But he had never been part of anything like this. Every human was leaving. All 16 billion of them. The ships came by the thousands. They docked at Liberty Station, loaded supplies, and left. Families carried their belongings. Scientists packed their research. Soldiers secured weapons and equipment. Within 72 hours, Earth's orbit was empty, except for automated systems. Dan recorded a final message in Liberty Station's command center. He knew the council would find it eventually. "We came to the stars looking for friends," he said to the camera. "We found bureaucrats. We wanted to be partners. You treated us like we were stupid. So we're leaving. Don't try to find us. You won't." He uploaded the message to play on a loop. Then he left Liberty Station forever. The gateway became the busiest place in the universe for 3 days. Ships lined up for miles, waiting their turn to pass through. Jake Morrison's crew had activated the ancient device, and it worked perfectly. The ring glowed with blue light, and when ships flew through it, they vanished. On the other side was Andromeda, a galaxy full of stars and planets. No council, no rules, just possibility. Lisa Chen watched the last ship go through. She had helped organize the entire evacuation, making sure no one was left behind. Every human who wanted to leave had made it through the gateway. "That's it," she told Jake. "We're all through." "Then let's go home," Jake said. Our new home. The Wanderer passed through the gateway, and behind them, the ancient device powered down. It would be years before the council figured out how to activate it again. Back in council space, everything human had been abandoned. Clean, organized, empty. Stations still ran on automatic. Farms still grew crops. Factories still produced goods, but there were no people. In the council chamber, Krell Van finally convinced the other ambassadors that something serious had happened. They sent ships to Earth. Those ships found nothing but empty cities and automated systems. Humanity had vanished like ghosts in the night, leaving behind only the civilization they had built and a message that no one wanted to believe. They were gone. All of them. And the council had no idea what had just happened to the galaxy they thought they controlled. Councillor Thexrin slammed his 3-fingered hand on the table. Testers none. The sound echoed through the emergency council session. Representatives from 47 different species sat in the chamber, and every one of them looked confused or angry or both. "How does an entire species just disappear?" Thexrin demanded. His scales turned dark red, which meant he was furious. "We have the most advanced surveillance systems in the galaxy. We have intelligence networks on every world. And you're telling me that 16 billion humans vanished without anyone noticing?" The intelligence officer standing at the front of the room looked uncomfortable. He was from the Korathi species, known for their analytical minds. Even he couldn't explain what had happened. "Sir, we've checked everything. Every human station, colony, ship, and outpost went silent within a 72-hour period. Not destroyed, just. They took everything valuable with them: technology, databases, equipment. But they left the infrastructure intact." Ambassador Zora L. from the Pelagian Confederacy spoke up. She was one of the few counselors who had actually liked working with humans. "Have we found any clues at all? Any hint of where they went?" "Just one, Ambassador. On Liberty Station above Earth." The main screen lit up, showing a recording. A human man in a military uniform appeared. He had gray hair and tired eyes. The intelligence officer played the message. "We came to the stars looking for friends. We found bureaucrats. We wanted to be partners. You treated us like we were stupid, so we're leaving. Don't try to find us. You won't." The message ended. The council chamber was silent. Finally, someone from the back laughed. It was Ambassador Krell Van. "Good riddance. Humans were always causing problems. Always pushing boundaries. Always questioning our decisions. Maybe now we can have some peace." Several other species nodded in agreement. Humans had been difficult. They never just accepted things the way they were. They always wanted to change things, improve things, do things differently, but Zora-El wasn't smiling. She had read the economic reports. You fools. Do you have any idea what you've just lost? Krelvan waved his hand dismissively. Some annoying neighbors? I think we'll survive. Humans, Zora-El said slowly, account for 37% of our economic infrastructure. Their trade routes connect half the galaxy. Their agricultural techniques feed 14 worlds. Their medical advances have saved trillions of lives across dozens of species. The chamber got quiet again. She's right, said Chief Counselor Varmoth. He was old, even for his species. And he had been leading the council for 300 years. I've reviewed the data. This is much worse than we thought. And he brought up charts and numbers on the main screen. Every counselor could see them. The numbers were bad. Humans didn't just leave. They left a hole in our civilization that we cannot easily fill. Many of you use human fusion technology in your ships. Human shield generators protect your worlds. Human medical scanners are in every major hospital in council space. Can any of you replicate this technology? No one answered. I thought not, Varmoth continued. The humans always shared their innovations freely. We took them for granted. Now they're gone, and we're about to learn what that really means. Over the next few weeks, the reality of the situation became clear. The Vorian Collective tried to maintain their military fleet, but within a month, 30% of their ships had power failures. They couldn't replicate the human fusion cores. The trade routes that had been protected by human patrol ships became dangerous. Pirates attacked merchant vessels. Some species stopped trading altogether. Goods became scarce. Prices went up. On the agricultural world of Harvest Prime, the crops started failing. The planet had been terraformed using human technology. Without human maintenance crews and their specialized knowledge, the atmospheric processors began to malfunction. Millions of people faced starvation. Dr. Venkari was the council's chief economic advisor. She had been warning them for years that they were too dependent on human innovation. No one had listened. Now she stood before the council with the worst news yet. We are facing economic collapse, she said bluntly. Within 6 months, our entire infrastructure will begin to fail. The humans were integrated into every aspect of our civilization. Removing them is like removing the foundation from a building. What do you recommend? Varmoth asked. We need to find them. We need to convince them to come back. Thexrin laughed. Come back? Why would they come back? We'd have to offer them something incredible. Yes, Venkari said. We would have to treat them as equals. True equals. Not as the young species that needs guidance. Not as children who need supervision. As partners. This suggestion did not go over well. The Council had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. They had always been in charge. The idea of treating humans as equals felt wrong to many species. But the alternative was worse. Meanwhile, in the Andromeda Galaxy, humanity was thriving. The first colony ships had arrived at a beautiful world that Lisa Chen named New Earth. It had breathable air, liquid water, and perfect conditions for human life. Greg Patterson stepped off the colony ship and looked at the new world. Blue sky, green plains, mountains in the distance. It looked like Earth had looked thousands of years ago, before cities covered everything. We're home, he said. Within weeks, the first settlements were built. Humans worked together like they never had before. There were no council regulations, slowing them down. No taxes, taking half their resources. No other species telling them what they couldn't do. Jake Morrison led exploration teams to other systems. They found 17 more habitable planets in the first month alone. The ancient gateway let them travel quickly between systems within Andromeda. It was like the entire galaxy had been left there, waiting for humans to arrive. Karen Sullivan established the new government. It was simple. Every colony had complete autonomy. No central authority telling people how to live. But they all agreed to help each other, to share resources, and to work together. We're not making the same mistakes the council made, Karen said at the first assembly of colony directors. We're not building an empire. We're building a community. The humans also found that they weren't alone in Andromeda. 3 native species lived there. The Quilvan were peaceful, aquatic people who lived on ocean worlds. The Torrent were made of living crystal and communicated through light patterns. The Myrani were nomads who traveled between stars in generation ships. Humans approached them carefully. They offered friendship, not demands. They offered trade, not conquest. They offered partnership, not control. The native species were suspicious at first. But when they saw that humans meant what they said, they began to trust. The Quilvan shared their knowledge of ocean farming. The Torrent taught humans about quantum mechanics. The Myrani showed them navigation routes through Andromeda. Back in the Milky Way, the Council's scientists were working day and night to understand how humans had left. A young Pelagian scientist named Vorel finally made a breakthrough. She found quantum signatures near the human colony system of Kepler 442. Strange energy patterns that pointed toward something huge. It's a gateway, she told the Council. Some kind of ancient technology. The humans found it and used it to leave the galaxy entirely. Varmoth listened to her report. Can we follow them? Maybe. But the technology is beyond anything we understand. It could take years to figure out how to activate it, and we don't know where it leads. Ever we. 17's for B. Ever we. Ever we. The chief counselor made a decision. We'll send an expedition. We'll find the humans, and we'll ask them to return. Ask, Thexrin said. We should demand they return. With what leverage? Varmoth asked quietly. We need them more than they need us. That's the truth we must accept. The council began preparing an expedition. They chose Zora-El to lead it, because she had always treated humans with respect. They gathered their best scientists and engineers. They built a special ship designed to survive the journey through the gateway. It was a desperate plan. But the council was running out of options. The galaxy was falling apart without humanity, and everyone knew it. 6 months had passed since humanity left, and the Milky Way galaxy was falling apart. The collapse was slow at first, like a crack spreading through glass. But now, it was speeding up, and everyone could feel it. The Vorian collective was in the worst shape. Their entire military had been built around human fusion technology. Without replacement parts, and without anyone who understood how the technology worked, their ships were breaking down one by one. Half their fleet was grounded. The other half was running on borrowed time. Krelvan stood in his war room, looking at maps of Vorian space. Red marks showed where pirates were attacking. Yellow marks showed where trade had stopped completely. There were more red and yellow marks than green ones now. We need those fusion cores, his military commander said. Without them, we can't protect our territory. I know, Krelvan said quietly. He had been one of the loudest voices celebrating when humans left. Now, he understood what a mistake that had been. The agricultural crisis was even worse. 14 worlds depended on human terraforming technology to maintain their atmospheres and soil conditions. Those systems were failing. On Harvest Prime, the situation had become desperate. The colony administrator sent daily messages to the council, begging for help. Our atmospheric processors are shutting down. We've tried everything. Without human technicians, we can't fix them. We need food shipments immediately. But food shipments cost money, and the council's economy was in free fall. Venkari presented her latest report to the council, and the numbers were devastating. We've lost 42% of our total economic output, she said. Trade has collapsed in most sectors. Unemployment is rising across all member species, and we still haven't figured out how to replicate most human technologies. What about our own scientists? Varmoth asked. Can't they reverse engineer what the humans left behind? They're trying, Venkari said. But humans thought differently than we do. Their technology is elegant and efficient in ways we don't fully understand. It could take decades to catch up. Venkari, ATC, the social problems were just as bad as the economic ones. Without human mediators, old conflicts between species were coming back. The Arthani and the Korathi had hated each other for thousands of years before joining the council. Humans had always been good at calming tensions between them. Now, there was no one to keep the peace. Small fights broke out in border regions. Trade disputes turned into military standoffs. The council spent more time dealing with internal conflicts than anything else. Thexrin found himself missing the humans, which he never thought would happen. They had been annoying, yes. Always questioning things. Always pushing for changes. But they had also been creative and practical. When there was a problem, humans found solutions. The council talked about problems. Humans solved them. Meanwhile, on the other side of the galaxy gateway, humanity was building something incredible. New Earth had grown from a single settlement into a thriving city in just 6 months. Buildings made of smart materials rose into the sky. Parks and gardens covered the spaces between them. The air was clean. The water was pure. It looked like a paradise. Greg Patterson walked through the central market, watching people trade goods and share ideas. There were no poor people here. No hungry people. Everyone contributed what they could, and everyone received what they needed. It's amazing what we can do when we're not paying 40% taxes to the council, Greg said to his assistant. And when we're not waiting 6 months for permits to build anything, the assistant added with a smile. The colony had everything it needed. Farms produced more food than they could eat. Factories made tools and equipment. Medical centers kept everyone healthy. And there was no crime. When people had what they needed and felt respected, they didn't steal or hurt each other. But New Earth was just the beginning. Jake Morrison had been busy. His exploration teams had found 47 habitable planets in Andromeda. 47 new worlds where humans could build colonies. Some were already being settled. Jake stood on the bridge of the Wanderer, looking at a star map of the Andromeda galaxy. So many stars, so many possibilities, and no one telling humans they couldn't explore them. "Commander, we've picked up signals from another native species," his communications officer said. "Friendly?" Jake asked. "Unknown. But they're not shooting at us, which is a good sign." This became the human approach to first contact in Andromeda. Careful, respectful, peaceful. They didn't assume they were superior to other species. They didn't try to control anyone. They just offered friendship and cooperation. The Quilvan had been the first native species to trust humans. They were aquatic people who lived in massive underwater cities. When humans met them, they didn't try to change Quilvan culture or tell them how to live. Instead, they asked questions and learned. "Your ocean farming techniques are brilliant," Lisa Chen told the Quilvan elder. "Could you teach us? We have some dry land farming methods that might interest you in return." The Quilvan were surprised. Most spacefaring species they had met before tried to conquer them or exploit their resources. Humans just wanted to be friends. The partnership benefited both species. Quilvan ocean farms became twice as productive, using human genetic engineering. Human colonies gained access to unique foods and medicines from Quilvan waters. It was trade between equals, not exploitation. The Torrent were even more unusual. They were beings made of living crystal, who communicated by changing colors and emitting light patterns. Most species couldn't understand them at all, but humans were determined to learn. It took 3 months, but eventually a human scientist named Dr. Paul Hayes figured out the Torrent language. Once communication was possible, humans and Torrent discovered they had a lot in common. Both species loved solving problems. Both valued knowledge. The Torrent taught humans about quantum mechanics. They understood things about the nature of reality that human scientists had only guessed at. In return, humans taught the Torrent about biological sciences and chemistry. The Torrent had never understood organic life very well. The partnership led to breakthroughs. Together, they developed new propulsion systems that were faster than anything the Council had. They created shields that could stop almost any weapon. They built computers that operated on quantum principles. The Myrani were nomads, traveling between stars in huge generation ships. They had been wandering Andromeda for thousands of years, never settling anywhere permanently. They knew navigation routes that no one else knew. When humans met the Mirani, they offered something simple. Rest. You can stop at our stations anytime you want. Take on supplies. Repair your ships. Stay as long as you like. No charge. The Mirani had never encountered such generosity. They began sharing their knowledge of Andromeda's safe routes and dangerous regions. Human ships used this knowledge to explore even faster. Karen Sullivan coordinated all of this from New Earth. She had become the unofficial leader of humanity in Andromeda, though she refused any formal title. "We're not building an empire," she said whenever someone suggested creating a central government. "We're building a community. Every colony is independent. Every species is equal. That's what makes us different from the Council." The results spoke for themselves. In 6 months, humanity had achieved what the Council needed centuries to build. 47 colonies, 3 allied species, a thriving economy, advanced technology, and most importantly, everyone was happy. There were no poor humans in Andromeda. No desperate ones. No angry ones. People worked hard because they wanted to. Not because they had to. They innovated because they were free to try new things, not because the Council permitted it. Back in the Milky Way, Ambassador Zora-El stood before the ancient gateway. The Council's scientists had finally figured out how to activate it. It had taken 6 months of constant work, studying the remnants of energy signatures and ancient symbols. "Are you sure about this?" Varmoth asked her over the communication channel. "We don't know what's on the other side." "We know humans are there," Zora-El said. She looked at her crew. 20 scientists and engineers. 5 diplomats. All volunteers. They all knew this was a one-way trip. The gateway could close behind them. They might never see the Milky Way again. "Let's find out what humanity has been building," Zora-El said. Her ship moved forward, passing through the glowing ring of the gateway. Light surrounded them. And for a moment, everything disappeared. Then they emerged in Andromeda, and what they saw took their breath away. Zora-El's ship emerged from the gateway into a scene she wasn't prepared for. 3 human warships immediately surrounded them, sleek and dangerous looking. Their weapons were powered up, but not aimed. It was a clear message. "We see you. And we're ready." "Unknown vessel, identify yourself," came a voice over the communication channel. "This is Ambassador Zora-El of the Galactic Council. We come in peace. We're looking for humanity's leadership." There was a long pause. Zora-El could imagine the discussions happening on those warships. Finally, the voice came back. "Stand by for escort to New Earth. Any aggressive action will be met with immediate response." The human warships took positions around Zora-El's vessel. As they flew toward New Earth, Zora-El studied the human ships carefully. They were nothing like the vessels humans had used in Council space. These were advanced. Very advanced. The hull designs suggested stealth capabilities. The energy signatures indicated power systems far beyond Council technology. "They've been busy," her chief scientist whispered. The trip to New Earth took 3 hours. Along the way, Zora-El saw things that shocked her. Massive orbital stations. Dozens of cargo ships moving between them. Construction vessels, building what looked like a planetary defense grid. And this was just one system. "How many colonies do they have?" she asked. Her navigation officer checked the sensors. "I'm picking up signatures from at least 40 different systems. All with active settlements. All connected by regular traffic. Ambassador, they've built an entire civilization out here in just 6 months." New Earth appeared on the view screen. It was beautiful. Blue oceans, green continents, white clouds. The orbital space was filled with stations and ships. It looked like Earth had looked in the old pictures, before cities covered everything. They were guided to an orbital station called Gateway 1. When Zora-El stepped off her ship, she was met by a human woman in simple but elegant clothing. "Ambassador Zora-El, I'm Karen Sullivan. Welcome to Andromeda." Zora-El noticed that Karen hadn't said, "Welcome to human space," or "Welcome to our territory." Just, "Welcome to Andromeda." Interesting. Thank you for seeing us, Ambassador Sullivan. Please, just Karen. We don't stand on formality here. Come, I'll show you around, and then we can talk. Karen led Zora-El and her team through Gateway 1. The station was immense, easily 3 times the size of Liberty Station had been. But what impressed Zora-El most was how it was used. There were humans here, yes, but also Quilvan, in water-filled sections, Torinth moving through crystal corridors, even some Mirani, resting between journeys. You've made alliances, Zora-El observed. We've made friends, Karen corrected gently. That's different. We don't have treaties or agreements. We just help each other because we want to. They entered a conference room with a view of New Earth below. Karen offered them refreshments, and they sat down. I assume the council sent you to ask us to come back, Karen said. Zora-El appreciated the directness. Yes. The galaxy is falling apart without you. Our economy has collapsed. Our infrastructure is failing. People are suffering. I know, Karen said quietly. We've been monitoring council space. We're sorry that people are suffering, but we're not coming back. May I ask why not? The council is prepared to offer you full partnership, equal representation, complete autonomy in your own space. Karen smiled sadly. Zora-El, you've always been fair to us. So I'll be honest with you. The council will never truly see us as equals. Even now, you're offering us autonomy in our own space. You're still thinking of the galaxy as belonging to the council, with humans as guests. That's not, Zora-El started, but Karen held up her hand. It is. And I don't blame you. The council has ruled for 10,000 years. It's hard to change that mindset. But we've built something different here. We're not building an empire. We're building a community where everyone is genuinely equal. Karen activated a holographic display. It showed the Andromeda Galaxy with dozens of markers indicating human colonies, Quilvan worlds, Torinth systems, and Mirani routes. In 6 months, we've established 47 colonies. We've partnered with 3 native species. We've developed technology that's generations ahead of what the council has. And we've done it all without anyone being in charge. Zora-El leaned forward, studying the display. How is that possible? How do you coordinate without central authority? We talk to each other. We share resources freely. We help each other solve problems. It's not complicated. It's just trust. One of Zora-El's scientists spoke up. But surely you have conflicts, disagreements. How do you resolve them? We discuss them like adults, Karen said simply. If 2 colonies have a dispute, they talk it out. If they can't agree, other colonies mediate. No one forces anyone to do anything. It works because everyone knows that cooperation benefits everyone. Zora-El felt something like envy. The council had bureaucracy. Forms to fill out. Committees to approve things. Votes that took months. Humans had just removed all of that and built something better. I'd like to see more of what you've built, Zora-El said. If you'll permit it. Of course. I'll arrange a tour. But Zora-El, I want you to understand something. We're not angry at the council. We're not your enemies. We just needed to be free to grow in our own way. Over the next week, Zora-El and her team visited several human colonies. Each one amazed them more than the last. On New Columbia, they saw terraforming on a scale that should have been impossible. An entire planet being transformed in months instead of centuries. Greg Patterson showed them around personally. The Torinth taught us some new techniques. Quantum manipulation of atmospheric particles. It's faster than anything the council ever developed. Greg Patterson, why didn't humans develop this technology before? Zora-El's chief scientist asked. Greg laughed. We tried. The council's science committee rejected our proposals, said they were too risky, too unproven. They wanted us to stick to established methods. And here, we can try things. If they work, great. If they don't, we learn and try something else. That's how innovation happens. On Ocean 7, They visited a Quilvan underwater city, where humans and Quilvan worked side by side. The mixing of technologies was fascinating. Human genetic engineering improved Quilvan farming. Quilvan bioarchitecture inspired human building techniques. A Quilvan elder spoke to Zora-El through a translation device. Humans are different from other spacefarers we've met. They listen. They respect our ways. They don't try to change us. Have you met many spacefaring species? Zora-El asked. Enough to know the difference between conquerors and friends. At a Torinth research facility, Zora-El watched human and Torinth scientists working together on quantum computers. The technology was stunning. It made council computers look like children's toys. Dr. Paul Hayes explained how the collaboration worked. The Torinth understand quantum mechanics intuitively. We understand biological systems intuitively. Together, we're developing hybrid computers that use both principles. The processing power is incredible. Could the council purchase this technology? Zora-El asked carefully. Paul looked at Karen, who had accompanied them. She shook her head slightly. We're not ready to share our advances with the council yet, Karen said. Not because we're being mean, but because we don't trust what the council would do with this technology. They might use it to try to force us back. Or to control other species. Even more. Zora-El couldn't argue with that. The council had a history of using new technology for control rather than liberation. On the final day of the tour, Jake Morrison took Zora-El out on the Wanderer to show her the gateway system. There were dozens of ancient gateways scattered through Andromeda, all connected in a network. The species that built these was incredibly advanced, Jake said. They left Andromeda millions of years ago, but their technology still works perfectly. With these gateways, we can travel across the entire galaxy in days instead of years. Do you know where the builders went? Zora-El asked. No, but we're learning from what they left behind, and we're trying not to make their mistakes. What mistakes? Jake gestured at the gateway. They built all of this, and then they left. Maybe they outgrew their home. Maybe they destroyed themselves. We don't know, but we're determined to build something that lasts. Something sustainable. Zora-El realized she was seeing something rare. A civilization in its early days that was already thinking about its long-term future. The council had stopped thinking that way centuries ago. They were so busy maintaining what they had that they forgot to imagine what they could become. That night, Zora-El met with Karen one final time before returning to the Milky Way. I'll tell the council what I've seen, Zora-El said. But I don't think they'll like it. Probably not, Karen agreed. But maybe it will inspire them to change. What if the council tries to come through the gateway with military force? Karen's expression became serious. Then we'll defend ourselves. We don't want war, but we won't be conquered either. Our ships are better. Our technology is better. Our people are united. The council would lose. Zora-El believed her. She had seen the human warships. She had seen the planetary defenses. Humanity had built a military that could probably defeat the entire council fleet. I'll recommend that the council leave you alone, Zora-El said. I'll tell them that trying to force you back would only end in disaster. Thank you, Karen said. And Zora-El? You're always welcome here. You personally. Anytime you want to visit, just come through the gateway. You'll always have friends in Andromeda. Zora-El felt tears in her eyes. When had the council last offered anyone friendship without conditions? I'll remember that, she said. Zora-El's ship passed back through the gateway into the Milky Way. The journey to Centralis Prime felt longer than it should have. She kept thinking about everything she had seen in Andromeda. The thriving colonies. The happy people. The genuine cooperation between different species. It was everything the council claimed to be, but never really was. When she arrived at the council chamber, every seat was filled. Representatives from all 47 member species waited to hear her report. The room buzzed with nervous conversation. 6 months ago, some of them had celebrated humanity's departure. Now, they were desperate for the humans to return. Chief Counselor Varmoth called the session to order. Ambassador Zora-El, please share what you discovered. Zora-El stood at the center of the chamber. A holographic projector displayed images from her journey as she spoke. I found humanity, she began. They've established themselves in the Andromeda galaxy. In 6 months, they've built 47 colonies across dozens of systems. Murmurs spread through the chamber. 47 colonies in 6 months? It had taken the Council centuries to expand that much. How is that possible? Thexerin demanded. They used ancient gateway technology left by a precursor species. The gateways allow rapid travel across Andromeda. But that's not the most important thing I discovered. Zora-El showed images of New Earth. The beautiful cities. The clean technology. The orbital stations filled with humans and alien species working together. Humanity has formed alliances with 3 native Andromedan species. Not through conquest or treaties, but through genuine friendship. I witnessed cooperation on a level we've never achieved in the Council. Alliances, Krelvan said dismissively. With primitives? No doubt. No. Zora-El said firmly. With advanced species who chose to work with humans because humans treated them as equals. The Torrent understand quantum mechanics better than we do. The Quilvan have biological technology we've never imagined. The Mirani have navigational knowledge spanning thousands of years. These are not primitives. She showed more images. The underwater cities. The crystal research facilities. The massive terraforming projects. But here's what should concern you most, Zora-El continued. Human technology has advanced dramatically. Their ships are faster than ours. Their weapons are more powerful. Their shields are stronger. In 6 months, they've surpassed us in nearly every way. The chamber erupted in angry shouts. Some counselors accused Zora-El of lying. Others demanded to know how humans could have advanced so quickly. A few sat in stunned silence. Varmoth raised his hand for quiet. How did they achieve this, Ambassador? Freedom, Zora-El said simply. They're not bound by our regulations. They can experiment without waiting for committee approvals. They can try new ideas without fear of rejection. They innovate because nothing stops them from innovating. She paused, letting that sink in. And more importantly, they've built a society without central authority. Every colony is independent. Every species is genuinely equal. They cooperate because they want to, not because laws force them to. Dr. Venkari spoke up. Did they agree to return and help us? No. They refused to come back. Another wave of angry voices filled the chamber. Zora-El waited for quiet, then continued. They're not angry at us. They don't hate the Council. They've just moved on. They've built something better. And they have no interest in returning to our way of doing things. We could force them, Thexerin said. We could send our fleet through the gateway. We would lose. Zora-El said bluntly. I saw their defenses. I saw their warships. They don't want war, but they're prepared for it. And they would win. The chamber went silent. The Council had never faced a military threat they couldn't handle. The idea that humans could defeat them was shocking. Varmoth looked tired. He had led the Council for 300 years, and he had never faced a crisis like this. What do you recommend, Ambassador Zora-El? We leave them alone. We focus on fixing our own problems. And maybe, just maybe, we learn from what they've accomplished. Ender. Learn? Krelvan said. Learn what? How to abandon responsibility? How to reject authority? Learn how to treat people as equals, Zora-El said sharply. Learn how to innovate instead of regulate. Learn how to cooperate instead of control. The humans didn't leave because they were rebellious. They left because we stifled them. She pulled up her final image. It showed Karen Sullivan standing on a balcony overlooking New Earth's capital city. This is Karen Sullivan, humanity's diplomatic leader. She told me something I'll never forget. She said humans aren't building an empire. They're building a community. Everyone is equal. Everyone contributes. Everyone benefits. That's what we lost when they left. Not just their technology or their economy. We lost the possibility of becoming something better. The Council debated for hours after Zora-El's presentation. Some wanted to send military forces. Others wanted to try negotiating again. A few suggested they should just accept the loss and move on. Finally, Varmoth made a decision. We will leave humanity alone. We will not attempt contact unless they initiate it. And we will begin reforming the Council's practices. Reform? Thexrin protested. We've governed successfully for 10,000 years. 7. And in 6 months, a species we considered young and inexperienced has surpassed us, Varmoth said. That should tell us something. Our methods may have worked in the past, but they're not working now. We either change, or we become irrelevant. The reforms began slowly. The Council reduced regulations on innovation. They cut taxes by 15%. They gave member species more autonomy in their own systems. It wasn't enough to match what humanity had built, but it was a start. Some species benefited from the reforms. Others resisted. The Vorian Collective, desperate to rebuild their fleet, started experimenting with new propulsion designs. The Pelagian Confederacy developed better agricultural techniques. Progress happened, but slowly. Meanwhile, in Andromeda, humanity continued to thrive. Jake Morrison's exploration teams discovered 100 more habitable worlds. The population spread across the galaxy, establishing new colonies at an incredible rate. The partnership with the native species deepened. Humans and Quilvan developed hybrid cities where both species could live comfortably. Human and Torinth scientists made breakthrough after breakthrough in physics and computing. The Myrani started settling some of their people on human stations, finally ending their thousands of years of wandering. Lisa Chen made another incredible discovery. She found evidence of the ancient gateway builders. They had been a peaceful species that spread across multiple galaxies before disappearing. They left behind not just gateways, but also libraries of knowledge. They wanted someone to find this, Lisa told Karen. They left instructions. Warnings. Lessons learned from their mistakes. What kind of mistakes? They built too fast, expanded too quickly. They developed technology without thinking about consequences. Eventually, they created something they couldn't control, and it destroyed them. Karen understood the warning. We need to be more careful. Exactly. We have freedom now. But freedom requires responsibility. This became a guiding principle for humanity in Andromeda. Grow, but grow sustainably. Innovate, but consider the consequences. Expand, but don't exhaust your resources. Build for the long term, not just for today. Greg Patterson implemented this philosophy in the terraforming projects. Instead of transforming planets as quickly as possible, they took time to ensure the changes would last. They studied ecosystems carefully. They made sure native life forms could coexist with human settlements. It took longer, but the results were better. The colonies they built were stable and healthy. The planets they terraformed remained beautiful and balanced. 3 years after humanity's departure from the Milky Way, the contrast between the two galaxies was stark. The Council space was slowly recovering, but it still struggled with economic problems and internal conflicts. Progress was measured in small improvements. Andromeda was booming. Humanity had over 200 colonies now. The population was growing. The economy was strong. Technology continued, advancing at an incredible rate. And the partnership with native species had expanded to include 2 more civilizations who saw what humanity was building and wanted to be part of it. Zora-El visited Andromeda again, using the standing invitation Karen had given her. What she saw amazed her even more than her first visit. The orbital stations were bigger. The cities were more beautiful. The cooperation between species was even more impressive. Karen met her at Gateway 1, which had grown to twice its previous size. Welcome back, Zora-El. How are things in the Milky Way? Better than they were, but we still have a long way to go. The Council is trying to reform, but change is difficult. I understand. Would you like another tour? They visited a newly completed orbital city called Harmony Station. It was designed to accommodate 5 different species, comfortably. Humans, Quilvan, Torinth, Myrani, and a new species called the Velen all lived and worked together. This is what the Council could have been, Zora-El said sadly. Maybe it still can be, Karen said. Change takes time. Don't give up on them. Will humanity ever return to the Milky Way? Karen thought about this. Maybe someday. Not to rejoin the council, but perhaps to visit, to trade, to share knowledge as equals. When the council is ready for that kind of relationship, we can talk. Zora-El understood. The door wasn't closed forever. But it would only open when the council truly changed its ways. Back in the Milky Way, Jake Morrison's words to Zora-El had proven prophetic. The ancient gateway builders had outgrown their home and left, but they had also left lessons behind for whoever came next. Humanity had learned those lessons. They were building something that would last, something sustainable, something beautiful. They had departed from the Milky Way, not in anger, but in hope, hope for something better. And in Andromeda, surrounded by friends and allies, thriving in freedom and cooperation, humanity had found exactly that. The council stood in astonishment, watching from afar as the species they had underestimated built a civilization that surpassed their own. Some counselors felt envy. Others felt regret. A few felt inspiration. Chief Counselor Varmoth watched the reports from Andromeda and made a private note in his journal. We had the chance to be part of something great. We chose control over cooperation. That was our mistake. Perhaps in time, we'll learn from it. The galaxy had changed forever. Humanity had shown that there was another way to build a civilization, a way based on freedom, equality, and genuine cooperation. Whether the Council would follow that example remained to be seen, but in Andromeda, humanity didn't wait for others to change. They simply continued building the future they wanted to see. And that future was brighter than anyone had imagined possible.